Okay, so now lit. Taking our component. Where is our little component? Where's that little baby? There it is. It's a very beautiful component.
I think we can ship this and make some serious money.
Yes, I have a really good joke. What do you call a banana that gets all the girls?
What do you call a banana that gets all the girls?
Yes, a banana smoothie. Isn't that good? That's funny.
I'm already regretting this. I have a feeling that I'll be sitting up near JavaScript Jeopardy again tonight and just be like, what did I just get myself signed up for?
Okay, so
let's install some more things. I think.
Okay.
You probably want some more stuff in your
all right. Let
registry.
me. So you do
Control C out of that.
Wait, hold on. I thought it was the command.
No, we want to close. We're serving this thing right now through the.
Oh, okay. Command. Okay. Gracefully shutting down. Okay.
So it is gracefully shut down.
How do you toggle back and forth between the terminal? Is it command?
It's control and backtick.
Oh, control backtick. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so sexy. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it saves you that extra couple of seconds just not having to toggle.
Yeah, it's things. Great. Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty cool if you're doing any kind of node development. If you start a node app through this command here, and you put the inspect break flag on it, VS Code will automatically attach itself with the debugger there, so you can just put in breakpoints here in your code and like debug the app.
Ooh, that's really cool. I need to do more node code.
Node code.
Okay, so now
all right, so let's
install more stuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna install.
What are we installing?
We're gonna install two things. We're gonna install
lit element
at Polymer /lit element. So they just namespace their components to avoid kind of naming conflicts down the road.
Okay. And then I already installed lit HTML, but maybe I installed the wrong lit HTML. Should I have done at Polymer?
No, that's fine. We're gonna indirectly. This is going to pull in. So if we.
Oh, it's gonna pull in lit HTML anyways. We already installed it anyway, so.
Hold on. Where are our? Don't see any.
I don't have a package JSON. Wait,
but
why did it
should still like give us the.
It let me do it before. Because I npm installed another one.
Yeah, but I don't see any.
Weird. I don't remember giving me an error.
Yeah, there's nothing here.
What's npm init-y?
Just automatically says yes to all the prompts, so you don't have to keep smashing enter.
Okay.
So it just gives you the defaults, like for a demo like this.
It creates the package JSON for you?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. npm install -y.
Init dash.
Oh, npm init -y.
So if you do it without the y, it'll ask you a bunch of questions like, what's the package name? What's the like for a demo like this? I don't really
you should
care.
say -y.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. This screencast is not about web components. It's about shortcuts.
I feel like that's like half of my I used to do trainings, and a lot of times people were more interested in knowing like what shortcuts I was using when I was programming. I'm a very lazy typer, like I said. Okay. All right, so we have lit element. Now lit works as it's or the entire lit element comes as ES modules, and when we import those modules, there are two different ways we can do that. One is by giving like the whole path, like relative path to the JavaScript. So it would be like /node module /polymer / something. This is kind of a very long way of doing it, which is very unlike like if you've ever done node development where you just import from the package name itself. Now browsers don't support that package name syntax, but if we use Polymer CLI, it can do that translation on the fly for us, so we can kind of get the best of both worlds. So if you want to do, so if you do npm i-g.
I think I have Polymer CLI.
Yeah. So that's without a at. Remove the first at there.
Oh, sorry.
But Polymer CLI has evolved a lot. So even if you have like a 2-month-old, it would probably be good to just do this to upgrade it.
It's much older than that.
Okay.
It's like a year old. How come nobody uses yarn?
I don't know. It kind of came and then it went. Some people
Yarn came and went?
I don't know. Like it got a big splash, but then when NPM improved their package resolution, a lot of people didn't really seem to have the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is now it's installing a bunch of like Selenium drivers for doing like testing. We're probably not going to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, now we can start this with Polymer serve instead of the serve command that we had before.
And this creates my whole build process for me, right? So I don't need to do serve dot.
No, we don't need to.
Basically, anytime I need a local server now, I can just do serve dot.
Yeah. And
it's boom.
So now we can go here. It should still be the same because we haven't changed anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just, I guess we can remove most of the stuff that we have here. But so if you want to start by just importing a couple of things. So if you import lit element and HTML.
How do you import?
Again, lazy typer. Let me show you my deal here. So just first you import an empty object
from lit element.
And then you can do Polymer lit element, and then now that it knows from where you're going to do it, then this should actually tell you what you can do. So you want lit element and HTML. Those are the two things we want. Okay, so now instead of extending from this very basic HTML element, we're going to extend from lit element.
Okay. Can I delete all this hot mess?
Yeah, let's remove everything, unless you want to keep the same content.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Should I not
leave like the last 2 lines here? They're going to be the same.
Oh no! What happened? I'm failing right now. Wait, why is this? Did I just copy paste a lot of things? Yeah. That was
Wow.
Okay, there we go. All right. Go ahead. Now what?
Well, now.
Okay. Ready.
All right. So let's create a new class, my component.
And then this is again.
Yep. Extends lit element.
Lit element. Okay.
And that's not a method that we're calling. It's just a class, so we don't need the parentheses on that.
Got it.
Very cool. And this one will be the same. Let's change. Do you want to change that to my component now?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Refactor code. Do it in index.html before we forget to do that.
Let's see. We can delete all of that. And it's already called. Oh no. Do you have to import it anywhere? I guess I don't. Oh, I'm importing this.
Yeah. There's one thing that we need to do differently now that we're using the import keyword here. That's only available in JavaScript modules. And if we just import it like this, we're going to get an error saying that there's a syntax error. We need to tell JavaScript that this is type equals module. That's going to give us all the magic superpowers of ES modules here.
I'm so used to just randomly using ES modules and letting all the friends do everything for me.
Yeah. But hopefully after today, you'll understand what's going on underneath the hood. Okay, so in lit element, we will define something called a underscore render method.
Mm-hmm.
For now, we can just have it with no parameters.
Like that. Oops. What
Yeah.
was that? Wait. Oh
We just
no.
have one too many.
Oh my god. Let me redo that.
We'll edit this in post-production.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, why doesn't it like this right now? No, because I think I'm...
Yeah, you are missing one.
Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Now what?
All right, so here is where we return our template. And for the template, we're going to use lit HTML. So that's a really cool, don't start typing it. So lit element is a really cool tiny library for these dynamic templates. It works with two web technologies. So it uses the new template literals in JavaScript, so those backticks, where you can have those.
Lit HTML does.
It does.
Okay, got it.
And so with that, you can insert these JavaScript expressions. So you have like the $sign and then brackets, and inside you can write. Inside of that, you can write JavaScript. The other technology is HTML templates. So those are kind of parts, like snippets of HTML that don't change over time, that the browser can kind of keep putting into the DOM. So this is Justin from the Polymer team was working on this, and it's a really effective way of doing this kind of dynamic DOM manipulation, because it doesn't touch any of the parts that don't change. So even if you have like the hugest DOM in the world and you change like just one part of it, it's only going to update that part without having to keep like a separate virtual DOM in memory. So the way we use it is by using this HTML keyword here.
So return HTML.
HTML and then a backtick.
Okay.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. So this is kind of one part.
Now I can have divs.
Yeah. Actually, let's go into the plugin store here and add a lit element or lit HTML plugin.
What's the shortcut for the store?
I don't remember.
Okay, so lit element.
HTML, first one there.
Okay.
So that's just gonna make the VS Code understand that anything inside of that HTML is actually HTML, so you get all the same.
Like, oh, that's nice.
Code completion and everything that you normally.
I need that a long time ago.
So now if you start like doing a div, and I think you probably need to save that and open it again. I don't know if it picks it up. Yeah, so now you can see you get all the normal HTML auto-completes.
Oh yeah. Div. Oh no, see? Why doesn't it do that?
Currently it doesn't have all the auto-completes.
Sometimes I feel like VS Code messes up, and it's probably me, I know, but...
It's always better to blame somebody who's not here.
Okay.
Alright, and you can just like put in your grapes in there again. Just make sure. We'll see that we can get this working.
Oops, that's not right. My grapes are gone.
Well,
We'll put in those.
Let's just refresh and make sure that this actually works, like even.
Oh, I probably have to run it.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, sorry, I refreshed. All right.
Polymer.
Serve.
Is it S?
Serve. I don't know if there's a shortcut. All right. Good.
So, is there a shortcut to open it? Oh, there we go. Oh no, there's a thing.
Let's see. There's something in our console here. Thought they changed this. With an older version of Polymer, so you had to have this like. Let's see. Before we needed to tell it to use module resolution equal to NP. I haven't needed to do this before. It might still be running on an old version of. Let's see. Oh, not mode. Module.
There it is.
So I don't know. Justin's probably watching this and he's just like, what are you doing? Like, just killing me.
Why did you have to do that?
So that's, like I said, like this syntax is not something that the browser understands.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take what Polymer serve essentially does is that when a request comes in for this weird path that doesn't like resolve to anything, it will actually look inside the node modules and return the right file that corresponds to this. If you do Polymer build, it will do that at build time, and then what ships is actually the.
So you have to, like, every time you serve it. So in newer versions,
In
you
newer
just can
versions,
do
you don't
Polymer
need,
serve.
yeah, and nothing. I haven't needed to do that before. But where where this really starts to, where you really start to see like the benefits of using something like lit element over basics is that we want to define the different properties of this component. So we can have, for instance, let's say, heat level, and then we can show as many peppers as the heat level.
Oh yeah, that's good. Let's do that.
And that's going to be a number. So you can define things. Now the cool thing here is that here in our
so when, when you say return heat number, are you adding is it like you're adding a property on?
So here I'm defining just the different properties that we're going to be able to set here on our component.
Got it, okay.
And the cool thing is that we can, in the render function, we can say that we're interested in knowing the heat level. So whenever heat changes, it's automatically going to re-render this template with the new changes.
That's exciting. Ooh. And then do we need like to have an input in our...
Well, we can do that in a while. Let's start by just putting like...
heat is 5. That's really cool.
So now you can like, want to go in here
and do 4 and we'll just... That's
super
exciting.
High. So I mean, you can already see that there's so much less stuff that we need to do.
Yeah, that was like way easier because you just like...
And I mean, this looks very similar to like other ways of defining components and frameworks. Like you have some properties, and then you just have this render function. In there, you can. The cool thing with lit HTML is that the template and syntax is just JavaScript, so you can do anything. Obviously, that could lead to people really abusing that and like literally doing anything in there, but
just like JSX is just JavaScript.
Yeah.
Can you is there a template for creating a component? Like we had to type in like the import lit HTML and do like the class, blah blah blah, all those things. Is there like a template to just? There's not like a Polymer generate standard component.
There might be. I'm not sure. If not, you could also like really easily make a little VS Code template.
Yeah. Wait, now I'm confused though. So we're using Polymer CLI, but we're only using Polymer CLI for the build, right?
Yeah.
Like all the stuff we're doing right here is all the lit element.
Yeah. So the kind of naming or what's happening with the Polymer project is that they just released Polymer 3 at Google I/O.
Right.
The big change there was that they went from basically defining components as HTML files to defining them as JavaScript files. The reason for that was that the browser vendors couldn't really agree on HTML imports being a thing. So since all of them already ship ES module loaders, the easier solution was to just use the ES module loader for loading components as well.
I see.
So that came out.
So the ES module loader is it the custom elements .define?
No, it's kind of this whole import syntax. So before you could import HTML files in HTML, that was how you used Polymer. Now you import JavaScript files in JavaScript. So slightly different. So they came out with that. Polymer 3 is completely backwards compatible with Polymer 2. Just the difference in that you don't load HTML files, you load JavaScript files. The benefit of that is that for the majority of browsers, you don't need any polyfills anymore. So you're just getting closer to the bare metal, which has been the Polymer project's kind of idea from day one, is to just kind of make the framework smaller, or the library smaller and smaller as like browsers start to implement these things. So lit element is the kind of next iteration. So this is, I don't remember exactly their plan, but there's not going to be like a Polymer 4 in the same way that they had before. They're splitting it up into these more kind of helper utilities.
Like lit.
So lit element is one. Lit HTML, which is this templating language, is another thing. And these are all like independently usable little helpers.
We had to install lit element and lit HTML.
Well, I think it was like a transitive dependency. So when we installed lit element, that depended on lit HTML, which also got installed.
Okay. So like, why would you only use lit HTML and not use lit element?
Well, if you don't want to build a reusable component, so maybe you want to, like, if you have a website, you could have the main page template be just a lit template, and then you could have some components in there.
So now can we do now in this, can we have like an input? Well, so we have the input. So can we make this a number here?
Yeah.
And then every time we
let's put in a script tag in here.
Span. Let's see if I can shortcut it. Enter in a heat level. And you're saying put in a.
Well, what we can do is if we want to. So here we can just do a.
Whoa.
So right now, obviously, we're in vanilla JavaScript, so we don't have any data binding or anything that we're working with. So we're just listening for change events. And then we're gonna do. I actually need to get a hold of the.
Isn't it capital M? No. I thought it was capital M, but maybe not.
I know this is just a variable name that I have, or a constant name, local to you. So class, when you define a class, that's when you start with a capital letter. If you're declaring a variable, it's usually you start with a.
Got it.
Lowercase.
Ooh, but you still have to do a lot of
So I mean, the reason why we're having to do like all of this typing is because this is just a plain HTML file. There's like no templating language, no framework, no nothing behind this. The cool thing with this component though is that you should be able to use this, for instance, from Angular. So if this was in Angular, you could use Angular data binding to bind to that heap variable and put in some hot peppers in your Angular app, for instance. So, or we could turn this into a lit template, and then we could bind JavaScript variables directly to those.
So you're adding an event listener to the input, and then for my component, you're changing the value. How does this part work? It's constant component talking about query.
So these two are just, I'm getting a handle on the elements themselves, the components.
Okay.
So one for the input, one for the component.
Right.
And then
what about right here? You're just changing
so
the value.
I'm setting the property heat. So my component.heat, that's this that we defined here.
Yeah.
So we're setting that equal to the e.target is this input. So this could just as well be input.value if you like readable code or something like that. I don't know. So we're just getting what the updated number is, and we're setting that to the heat value.
That's exciting. And then do you just press enter?
Yeah.
Yay! That's pretty exciting. So like, why then do people use web components, not frameworks? Terrible question. No, but like, why do people use? Like, I get why. So performance and whatever, but like, is most
and portability. I mean, it's like, for instance, for us, like we're able to put a lot more kind of resources into building our set of components because we know they're going to continue to work in the future. Like right now we have like React and Angular and Vue are kind of the big frameworks, but 2 years down the road, there's probably going to be another cool framework, and we know already that our components are going to work in that framework too.
Yeah.
So it's kind
so you feel like really confident just because you're basically like future-proofing yourself and you're betting on like the platform versus betting on a specific framework.
Correct. And I mean, in a lot of our like bigger customers, they might not have a very kind of well-defined software stack. So one team might be using Vue, and one team might be using Angular, one team might be using our Java framework. But in this case, with our components or with web components in general, all those teams could theoretically be using the same components to kind of get the similar look and feel throughout all their applications and kind of having consistency. Also, a lot of big companies where they have many teams, they like to build their components as web components just so they can transfer them from team to team within the organization.
Yes, we definitely deal with a lot of that. So now,
and I mean the idea really with web components are so flexible that you can build applications out of them.
Right.
But I think a lot of people in the future will I think the role of frameworks is changing somewhat with the platform getting more features all the time. So you could if you wanted to have a very lightweight minimalist setup, you could just do a set of web components, a router to just move between things. If you wanted to pull in something like Redux for state management, you could do that. So you could kind of pick and mix only the parts that you need, so you don't need to kind of pull in a full-on framework.
Does Polymer have a router?
We have a really good router that we just came out with.
Vaadin has a router?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's for navigating between web components, so it's not tied to any specific framework or anything.
How would you navigate between a component? What does that even mean?
So a component could be an entire view. Like in Angular, for instance, your entire view is a component.
Right.
And in a similar way, web components work exactly the same way. You can just have a big component that's composed of a lot of small components.
So a lot of people do that, obviously. When they're that's what they do. When they're not using a framework, they make a component that's the view, and then they have a bunch of little other components that they shove into their view.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. So, what do I have to install?
What are we doing?
We're getting the router working. My favorite thing. I don't know why it amuses me to always just let's just get the router to work. Wait, so do I need multiple HTMLs or multiple JS files? Like if I just want
JS files.
Okay, so I'm just gonna create like an about.js. Is there a naming convention for my JS files?
Usually I have like if this was for instance my component, I would call this my-component.js, and if this would be like about-view.js.
About-view-.js?
Yes.
About view?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then we'll do another one like a home-view.js. Is it a free component?
Yes, it is.
I realize that my little things don't work here. My little, so do I npm install what?
I think it's at Vaadin-router. Yeah, let's try that. Or then it's Vaadin-router. One of those two. This is something that like we just came out with this. I haven't even had time to try this myself.
It worked.
Yeah.
Cool. RC0.
Yeah, so it's like completely.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we have the home view in this. So can I set this up real quickly? So basically, like I just shove this in.
Yeah. Just
shove
give
this
them
in
different
here,
names, obviously.
and then home view extends lit element, and then custom view define. So I always have to do this custom elements dot define.
Yeah, that defines the tag name.
Okay, and then home view. I mean, that's kind of cute. I can dig it. So about view. And then this one I want, like
Just put in some different, like, you can call this, just put in, like.
About. Yeah. And then I'm going to take out this right here. And I'll take off this stuff over here. So that's what just a vanilla, I guess a vanilla view looks like, huh?
Yeah, doesn't do a whole lot, but.
Return div, and this is the home. Okay, and then I don't need to import anything. Oh no, I do.
Yeah.
So do I just need to create like multiple script tags?
No, you can do that, yeah.
Home view. Is there a better way or?
Well, there are different ways. Most likely in like a real life application, you'd probably have those would get put into a bundle or whatever, or you might be including them in your JavaScript file as imports. But for now, this is
Wait, including them in my JavaScript files.
Yeah, so I mean, if say component.js could depend on. It's like if you're in like Webpack, you would typically import things like this,
right?
Or then you would use the dynamic. Like if something happens, then you can do like a import dynamically, and that way it would only get pulled in whenever it's actually needed.
Ooh,
so
I've never
instance,
done that.
So the router supports lazy initialization. So if you have like a really big application, it does code splitting, basically.
Oh, nice.
And if you have this big kind of application, if you navigate to a view, that you can then register its own child views and so on. So you can like dynamically build out the view. Anyway, let's try to build this up. So hello, let's remove these. Let's put in maybe a couple of links just to these different. So let's do like, we have home view, about view. So like, do a tags, like links to them.
No. href c equals
So we
our
can do
href. Wait, how come I can't just like, how come? There we go. Okay.
still on Pacific time.
I am on. Yes, I am. Home.
Well, let's map home to just the slash. So like slash nothing will be our home. I think that's easier.
Home. Okay.
So just copy that whole line and change those.
Do I need to do slash about or just okay?
That's good.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I need to start it again. So Polymer. Oops. Polymer serve. Go computer. Ooh, geez, okay. You got it. He's very happy right now. Okay, home and about. Now what?
Okay, so we need to tell the router where things should get shown, like you Angular, you have your router outlet, and so on.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're gonna have a div, for instance, where we show this. We just need to have some place to put it. And again, if you were using some, like, for instance, Polymer has helpers for getting kind of, if you define something with an ID, you can do like $sign that ID. But for now, since we're in just plain JavaScript here, do outlet. So that's where we're gonna put things. We're gonna be in a type module again because we want to do import.
How come you wouldn't do this in a separate JS file?
You probably would want to do this in a separate JS file normally, but that way we can see the whole code in one. Like it would be exactly the same thing if you wrote this.
And then you would just like import the router into the.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So we have our router, and then instantiate that. So we create a new instance of the router and tell it where it should put things. Then in here we can define the routes. So we can have, for instance, path will have a component of, what was it called?
Home. Or home view.
Home view. That will be
without view. Why is it that everybody always gets stuck on routers? Like, why are routers so important?
I think, like, a router really, like, ties together, like, that's the bridge between having just a bunch of disconnected things and having an application. One of the reasons, like, the router project at our company got started just from, like, my feeling was that one thing holding people back from building, like, really meaningful apps with web components is that there isn't a really good router for
web components. Yeah.
So,
which is why you guys built a router web component.
Yeah. Or it's not a web component itself, but it works with web components. So,
okay.
So by saying component, it's going to instantiate a new of these. There are a bunch of different, like, variants where you can lazily initialize these or pull them in from bundles if you're using, like, Webpack and you want to split up your application. But for now, this should hopefully be all that we need. Some pretty impressive looking links we got here. Oh yeah, now we did the same thing again. Let's have this.
Oh yeah, Polymer serve dash module.
I don't need to figure out.
Do you have to specify node at the end? Did it route?
We have home here.
Kick ass. And the router outlet. Okay, Okay, I get it.
So the outlet's there.
That makes sense.
Then we support all kinds of stuff like animations between the routes, and you can do all kinds of cool
Oh my
stuff.
god, you can do animations? I don't think there's not a lot of. No, I mean I remember this in Ember where you could like do really cool animations between routes in Ember, but like maybe I just haven't looked or cared.
Well, basically, it doesn't like really do animations as much as it gives the incoming and outgoing components class names that you can target with CSS.
Nice. Ooh, I like that. And that's all in the docs, right?
Yeah.
Let's pull up the docs real quick just so I can see it.
So vaadin.com/router.
Vaadin.com/router.
I haven't even like tweeted about this page yet because it's still missing a couple of things. But if you go to get started there's like a whole bunch of different examples on how you can do this. So you have animations and code splitting.
I like the animations part. That's so exciting.
So you can
probably. Ooh, baby.
Wow.
Wow.
So pretty.
I like it. Oh, there's only one? I'm so sad. Oh, because like basically this is an example of one, but you have to create your own, basically.
Yeah, I don't think we're shipping with any.
Ooh, yeah.
So you can see like here it's setting some keyframes, but
oh my god, what other components do you guys have? What are the components?
vaadin.com/components.
Okay, yeah, I could spell, you know. Well, your 404 like page works.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Browse components.
Is this the yes? No. I'm just gonna X you out.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I do. So browse components.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you all of them. Let's take something that's pretty cool. Like,
charts.
Yeah.
Everyone loves charts.
Yeah. So we have basically selected one of our like 2 commercial components that we have.
Yeah, because I'm like charts are hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean obviously we need to also make money. So
oh,
we have
I got it.
Like,
yeah.
More specific use case stuff, but let's take a look at like something that's like very hard to do like on your own. So like if you wanted to have like a really good data grid, if you're building business software like a lot of our customers are, like they need these components that can just show a gazillion rows of data very efficiently.
It's very pretty.
You can do like
nice
hierarchies, and you can do editable like that's broken. Let's not look at that.
File an issue.
And do all kinds of like multi-sorting, filtering.
Oh, that's so exciting.
So it's like a pretty cool component.
Oh, I really like your components.
And they're all just like their components. So you just do an import the same way as we did before. So if you wanted like, so let's go to the whole view.
I really want to build a whiskey app, but now I also really want to build a peppers app. Now that we've judged the heat of the pepper.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
So I'm just installing our date picker here.
Of course, because everyone needs a date picker.
So we import it. Then put it in there.
I think we forgot a closing tag.
I did. Pair programming. Okay.
Building the components with Marcus app. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really exciting.
And these are all like mobile first designed, so that like if you're looking at this, like now it's looks like this, but if we go into like a, let's pretend we have a 6, 7, 8 plus.
Ooh.
Where's that? Easier to understand. So, for instance, in this case, you can see that it doesn't go all the way up to the top because nobody has a thumb
Mhm.
that's long enough to actually reach to the top, so it just makes it a little bit less tall. It keeps the ear scroller here close to you, and you can easily access those. We've also spent just a lot of time making sure that they're all accessible to screen readers and keyboard navigation and everything. So, like, the idea is that if you start your application from these components, you're getting like a very high quality level
Yeah.
to start out from.
That's so exciting. Oh my god, I want to really play around with this now. I'm like so excited about it. Yay.
All right.
I think we're done. I know. Let's say bye to the internet. Bye.